Hi, we are the Creating Trauma Sensitive Schools Conference here in Houston, Texas. I am here with Guy Stevens of the Alliance Against Seclusion and Restraint. We talked last year. Last year was our first year both at this conference. And I've been looking forward to actually checking in with you because I've been watching what you've been doing. Saw your little shout out that you'll be working closely with, it sounds like, Lori's group.
Right. I've been doing work with Lori for some time. We're also doing we have a partnership now with CPI, and we're doing a lot of work around developing what I would call kind of upstream curriculum, like how to help people not only avoid crisis situations in the first place, but to better support people with a kind of a brain-aligned approach, kind of a neuroscience-aligned approach. So we've got a lot of exciting work happening.
Okay, so last year when we talked, 19 states were still allowing seclusion and restraint. Where does that stand?
Oh, well, actually, it's a little different. 19 states allow corporal punishment. That's probably where that 19 number came from. We have, across the nation, it wouldn't even be fair to kind of go how many states allow, because we have different things that are happening in different places. So we have 34 states that have banned the use of prone restraint, kind of a face-down restraint. What we're seeing that's the good news. So if we want to get from where we were last year to now, we are seeing a really great increase in activity on a state level of states putting forward better legislation to reduce and eliminate the use of restraint and seclusion. We've got right now in Washington State, they've got a bill out to eliminate the use of isolation or seclusion. There are efforts right now in Texas to reduce the use of restraint. We have things happening, I think, in Vermont and Oregon and Maryland last year, my home state. One of the things that happened probably after we talked, my home state of Maryland banned the use of seclusion last year. So that was a huge step forward. So we've got a lot of positive things happening around this work to reduce and eliminate the use of restraint, seclusion, but it's really broader than that. And you might remember when we talked last year, it's not just about restraint seclusion. It's all the things that are often being done to kids, very often in the name of behavior. So it's restraint, seclusion, suspension, expulsion, corporal punishment, these things that collectively could kind of push kids down that school to prison pipeline and really have dismal outcomes for kids. So, the work that we're doing is trying to focus on, much like what ATN does, how do we better support the kids, the teachers, and the staff to make meaningful change? And that's why I'm so excited to be here again this year, because this is a group of people coming together to say, we can do better. There are better things that we can do. But absolutely, on the restraint seclusion front, there are some really positive things happening. Not much movement on the federal side, and eventually I hope to see federal law. I hope to see federal law not only here in the United States, but also in other places. We've been collaborating with people in Canada recently in hopes of seeing something introduced there as well. So this is a problem that we see not just here in the United States, but in many places around the world.
Yeah, we've been talking, a lot of the people who have come in to talk to us have been talking about the timeline, where it's kind of this 3 to 6 year, it sounds like, timeline, because it's not immediate change. Right. When you start this, it is a slow, gradual change, and you've been at this for a while. So what is the timeline that you've seen kind of, in Maryland, I know that you were really successful last year.
Yeah. So, started the Alliance about 4 years ago. And, I think there's a lot of positive things happening from being involved in this work for only 4 years. And there are people that have been involved in this for far longer than I have and have been doing great things for a long time. I think there has been more recognition of some of these problems, more work around some of these problems. When it comes to the legal perspective, it takes time to change the laws and policies. It does not happen overnight. And what I would say, the work that we focus on at the Alliance Against Seclusion and Restraint is twofold. Part of it's legislative. How do we change laws, policies, and approaches? And that could be at a local level, Board of Education level. It could be at a state level. It could be at a federal level. Those things take time. But more importantly, you can't just change the laws and policies without focusing on what we do instead. What do we do to better support kids? What do we do to better support teachers and staff? Because if you make a law to say, don't do this anymore, but you haven't provided what are the things you can and should be doing to make a positive difference, you end up with negative unintended consequences. So back to your question, how long does it take? Well, it depends. It can take decades to pass federal law. Yeah. It could take, it's not unusual to see in a state law setting, 2 to 3 years to get a law put forward. And it's often a process. So we were really fortunate last year in the legislation we pushed through in Maryland. But it does take time. But the more important work here is it's just about changing the hearts and changing the minds. It's about getting people to understand we don't have to be doing these things that have really bad impact on kids. We can do things that better support them.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to be able to talk to you again, because it just has that underlying message of, yes, it takes time, but there's hope.
And we're doing it, right?
And we are doing it.
And we're coming together to do it. I mean, one of the beautiful things about an event like this is you're bringing people together from all over the country and beyond.
Yeah.
And you're bringing people together, and this community of trauma sensitive change makers, disruptors, whatever we want to call them, this community is a community that's working closely together. I mean, I came here this year after only having been here last year, feeling like, hey, it's all my people.
Yeah,
I've almost felt regulated,
friends.
walking in the door. But it really is a community that's working together to try to bring about change. So it's not a competitive space. It's how do we work together to do things? And, I've had the opportunity now to collaborate with the Attachment Trauma Network we did an event back in the fall. And, it's been a great opportunity to work together. But that's what it takes. It takes us coming together and saying, this is a problem with the world. How do we fix it?
Absolutely. You can find Guy at endseclusion.org. You have a session later this afternoon, correct?
That's right. I have a session at 4:00, and really excited about that. I'm not going to probably get my own title right, so I won't tell you the title. But essentially, the session is Beyond Restraint and Seclusion. I'm a firm believer that a little bit of brain science and the right mindset, the right philosophy, can really make a difference in how people work with, support children and each other. And we're going to talk a little bit about how brain science and philosophy can kind of come together to change what you're doing. And I'm really excited about it. It's not just about the negative things that are happening, but it's about how do we change our mindset and how do we use this amazing science that's out there to do that?
Yeah. We have also talked with a couple of other people about how almost finding your place in this work is a superpower, and being able to hone in your skills to bring in. I mean, it's a power of yours to come to.
Well, there are a lot of superheroes here.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself one, but I look at the others and go, oh, look, it's Matthew Portell. It's Joe Brummer. It's all these amazing people. But it really is a lot of amazing people that are collaborating, working together. I was talking to a colleague who was sharing with me that she had come to the first one of these in DC like 6 years ago. She's like, and now I'm here presenting, and what a wonderful journey that was. And, I would encourage anybody that's coming here to think about, like, put a proposal in next year, come share what you've learned on your journey. And I think there's a lot of good opportunities.
Yeah. And if you can, just come. Like, you can't come to this experience and not leave changed. So thank you so much for joining me, Guy. Absolutely pleasure. And great to see you back here because, my second year, your second year, and this thing that you're doing here is really fun. It is really fun. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yep. And we will see you later.